My child, heaven went silent when your name was spoken. I rose from my throne because what you endured moved my heart in ways you cannot imagine. Before you continue listening to these words, you must understand something very important. This moment was not created by accident. I arranged this encounter long before you arrived here. Out of millions of voices, millions of distractions, millions of moments unfolding across the earth tonight, I chose this exact second to reach you. I know your hands are tired. I know your heart has been carrying things you never fully explained to anyone. I know there were nights when you smiled in front of people while silently breaking inside. And yet you kept going. You kept waking up. You kept trying. You kept believing even when your faith became weak and your soul became exhausted. That is why heaven became still when your name echoed through eternity. The angels watched as I stood from my throne because they knew I was coming personally to you. Do not leave this message unfinished, my child, because what I carry for you cannot wait another second. I did not come to condemn you. I did not come to remind you of your failures. I came because your tears reached places in heaven you cannot even comprehend. Every cry you hid in silence was heard by me. Every sacrifice you thought was invisible stood before my throne like a living testimony. You believed nobody noticed the way you kept surviving pain after pain. But I noticed. I noticed when you chose kindness while secretly hurting. I noticed when you kept praying after disappointment. I noticed when you held yourself together while your heart felt shattered. And now I need you to listen carefully because this message is not ordinary. This is a holy interruption sent directly into your life because I refuse to let you continue believing you are forgotten. My beloved child, there were moments recently when you questioned if I was still near you. You wondered why the silence became so heavy. You wondered why the doors stayed closed. You wondered why your prayers seemed trapped beneath the ceiling while your battles became stronger every day. I saw every moment of that struggle. I watched you fight thoughts nobody knew about. I watched you sit alone carrying worries too deep to explain. Sometimes you stared at the ceiling late at night asking, "Lord, where are you?" And even though you could not hear me clearly, I was already standing near you. I was closer than the air surrounding your body. I was protecting parts of your life you could not see. There were attacks meant to destroy you completely, but my hand stood in the way. There were moments when darkness tried to convince you to quit, but I would not allow your story to end there. The reason you survived is because my presence never abandoned you for even 1 second. Tonight, I need you to understand something heaven has been waiting for you to realize. You are deeply loved, not because you are perfect, not because you've never failed, not because you always got everything right. You are loved because you are mine. The world taught you that love must be earned. People made you feel like your worth depended on performance, appearance, success, or approval. But my love does not move like human love. My love remained beside you even when others walked away. My love stayed during your worst moments. My love covered you when shame tried to bury you. And the angels know this. They watched me defend you when you were too weak to defend yourself. They watched me comfort you during nights you thought nobody cared. They watched me collect every tear falling from your eyes. That is why heaven became silent when I stood from my throne. Because your suffering mattered to me more than you know. My child, there are things happening around your life right now that you cannot fully see yet. The pressure you have felt is not random. The heaviness surrounding your mind is not meaningless. There has been a spiritual battle connected to your future because what I placed inside you carries purpose. The enemy wanted you exhausted. He wanted you hopeless. He wanted you to believe your waiting season would never end. But I am speaking clearly now. Your suffering did not go unnoticed in heaven. Every lonely season produced strength inside you. Every disappointment built endurance within your spirit. Every hidden sacrifice became a seed planted before me. You may have felt abandoned on earth, but in heaven your faithfulness was being remembered day after day. Do you remember the moments when you almost gave up? I remember them too. I remember the tears you wiped away quickly so nobody would ask questions. I remember the silent panic you carried while pretending to stay strong. I remember the times you begged me for one sign, one answer, one reminder that I still cared. My beloved child, this message is that reminder. I came personally because I could not allow you to continue another day believing your pain was invisible. You thought heaven was silent because it did not care, but heaven was silent because it was preparing something greater than you imagined. Sometimes I remain quiet while I arrange miracles behind doors you cannot yet see. Sometimes I allow waiting because your blessing requires preparation bigger than your understanding. But never confuse my silence with abandonment. I have never abandoned you. Right now, as you listen to my voice through these words, something is shifting around you spiritually. You may not fully understand it yet, but your soul recognizes my presence. That ache in your chest, that emotion rising inside you, that feeling that these words are speaking directly into your life, that is not coincidence. That is my spirit reaching toward you. I know exactly what burden you carried into this moment. I know the fear you hide from people. I know the uncertainty about your future. I know the exhaustion living inside your thoughts. But I also know who you are becoming. And what I see in you is not weakness. I see endurance. I see loyalty. I see someone who kept moving forward despite unimaginable pressure. Heaven is proud of you, my child. And I need you to finally understand that. Type Amen. My prayers are heard if you're expecting God's answer soon. The angels watched me walk toward you because they know the importance of this moment. They know how close you came to giving up. They know how many battles you survived quietly. They know the sacrifices nobody applauded. They saw you choosing faith when fear screamed louder. They saw you praying while your heart was breaking. They saw you continue helping others while secretly needing help yourself. And now they are watching again because heaven knows your season is beginning to change. I did not leave my throne just to comfort you temporarily. I came because restoration is beginning. I came because your heart has carried enough pain for too long. I came because the prayers you whispered in private have reached their appointed time. Do not let doubt steal this moment from you. Do not allow distraction to pull you away now. Stay with me, my child, because what I am revealing is only the beginning. There are things I must show you about your life, your suffering, your future, and the purpose behind everything you endured. You have spent too long believing you were unnoticed. But heaven has watched every chapter of your story carefully. The sacrifices you made in silence were never wasted. The tears you cried alone were never ignored. The faith you held on to during impossible moments was never forgotten. I saw you all. I carried you through all of it. And now I am standing before your heart again saying, you are not abandoned, you are not forgotten, and your breakthrough is closer than you realize. My precious child, Listen closely now, because this truth will change everything if you allow it to settle deeply into your spirit. I came personally because your life matters to heaven. Not tomorrow. Not someday far away. Right now. This very moment. I know you have been tired of waiting. I know you have grown weary from carrying burdens nobody fully understands. But heaven has not turned away from you. The angels are still watching. I am still near. And what I carry for you in this season cannot be delayed any longer. My beloved child, there is something I need you to understand before you move any further into this new season I am preparing for you. There were moments in your life when you truly believed nobody cared about what you were carrying. You smiled around people while silently drowning inside. You answered questions with "I'm fine" while your heart felt exhausted beyond words. You became skilled at hiding pain because you feared nobody would understand it anyway. But while you believed your suffering was invisible, heaven was watching every second of it. Not one moment escaped my eyes. Not one tear disappeared unnoticed. Not one sacrifice faded into emptiness. I saw all of it, my child. I saw the hidden battles that nobody applauded. I saw the quiet endurance that nobody celebrated. And I need you to know today that heaven honors what this world ignored. I watched you during those nights when sleep would not come because your thoughts were too heavy. I watched you stare into darkness while carrying fears you could not explain. There were nights when your chest felt tight from stress, when your mind replayed disappointment after disappointment, when your heart secretly begged for relief. You tried to stay strong for everyone else while privately asking yourself how much more you could handle. People around you saw your face, but I saw your soul. I saw how tired you really were. I saw the emotional wounds you covered with silence. I saw the pressure building inside you while you continued pretending everything was normal. My precious child, you never had to pretend with me. I knew every hidden ache long before you found words for it. There were mornings when getting out of bed felt harder than anyone realized. Your body moved, but your spirit felt drained. You carried responsibilities while secretly feeling empty inside. Sometimes you felt disconnected from joy itself. Things that once made you happy no longer reached your heart the same way. And still you kept going. Still you kept showing up. Still you kept trying even when part of you wanted to disappear from the pressure of it all. Heaven saw that strength. The angels witnessed your perseverance even during moments when you thought you were weak. You judged yourself harshly for struggling, but heaven saw someone fighting to survive while carrying burdens far heavier than most people understood. I saw the moments you cried alone after everyone else had gone to sleep. I saw you wiping tears quickly because you did not want anyone asking questions. I heard prayers whispered through exhaustion. I heard your voice tremble while asking me for help. Sometimes your prayers were not even complete sentences. Sometimes all you could do was sit silently in pain, hoping I somehow understood what your heart could not explain. My beloved child, I understood every unspoken word. I understood the language of your tears. I understood the sorrow hidden beneath your silence. And while you questioned whether I was listening, heaven was leaning close to every cry coming from your spirit. You believed people would notice your sacrifices someday, but many never did. You gave love while receiving very little in return. You helped others while carrying your own hidden pain. You encouraged people while secretly needing encouragement yourself. You stayed loyal even after disappointment wounded your heart repeatedly. You chose kindness when bitterness would have been easier. and many times it felt like nobody appreciated the cost of your goodness. But heaven saw it all. Every act of faithfulness became precious before me. Every sacrifice was recorded. Every moment you chose light instead of darkness mattered more than you know. My child, there were also moments when you questioned your own worth because of how people treated you. Rejection wounded places deep inside your heart. Some people misunderstood your intentions completely. Others walked away without realizing how deeply their absence hurt you. You carried disappointments quietly because you became used to surviving heartbreak in silence. But I need you to hear me carefully now. The way people treated you never changed your value in my eyes. Humans judged you through temporary emotions, but I have always seen your eternal worth. Even when others overlooked you, heaven recognized your beauty. Even when people failed to appreciate your heart, I treasured every pure intention living inside you. Please support our channel. Our work is to bring happiness in your life and devotion to God. And if you want, you can donate to us, given link in description or pinned comment to show your support. Do you remember the moments when you almost gave up completely? I remember them clearly. There were times when your strength felt nearly gone. You questioned whether continuing forward was even worth it anymore. Your faith became tired. Your hope became fragile. Some days you moved through life carrying a sadness too deep to explain. And yet something inside you refused to completely let go. That was not accidental, my child. That was my hand holding on to you even when you felt too weak to hold on to me. I protected the small flame remaining inside your spirit because I knew your story was not finished yet. The angels saw battles you never even realized were happening around you. There were spiritual attacks designed to destroy your peace completely. There were moments darkness tried to consume your thoughts with hopelessness. Fear tried to convince you your future would never change. Loneliness whispered lies into your mind late at night. The enemy wanted you to believe you were abandoned so you would stop expecting goodness from me. But heaven fought for you in ways you still do not fully understand. I sent protection around your life repeatedly. There were disasters you never saw because my hand stopped them before they reached you. There were moments when your heart should have completely broken beneath the pressure, but I strengthened you quietly from within. My beloved child, heaven was especially moved by the sacrifices nobody else knew about. The world celebrates public victories, but heaven treasures hidden obedience. I saw the prayers you prayed for family members who never thanked you. I saw the times you denied yourself comfort just to help someone else survive. I saw opportunities you walked away from because you wanted to honor me. I saw you remain faithful even while carrying disappointment. These things mattered deeply in heaven. The sacrifices you thought disappeared into silence actually rose before my throne like offerings of love and faithfulness. Sometimes you wondered why your journey seemed harder than other people's lives around you. You compared your pain to those who appeared happier, stronger, more blessed, or more successful. But what you could not see was the strength being formed inside you through every difficult season. Pressure was producing endurance within your spirit. Pain was deepening your compassion. Waiting was teaching your soul dependence on me. The suffering was not meaningless, even when it felt unbearable. Heaven understood the purpose hidden inside seasons you could not understand yet. My precious child, there is one thing I never want you to forget after tonight. You were never invisible to me. Not during your hardest nights. Not during your silent crying. Not during your emotional exhaustion. Not during your moments of doubt. I remained close through all of it. Even when my voice seemed quiet, my presence surrounded you constantly. I sat beside you in rooms where you felt alone. I comforted you during breakdowns nobody witnessed. I listened to conversations inside your mind that nobody else could hear. And every single time you chose to keep going despite the pain, heaven noticed. The angels watched with amazement because they saw someone continuing to walk forward while carrying invisible wounds. They saw your resilience. They saw your heart remain soft despite betrayal. They saw your faith survive despite disappointment. They saw you continue loving despite rejection. And heaven became proud of you, my child, because many people would have surrendered beneath the weight you carried. But you kept moving. You kept believing even when belief became difficult. You kept surviving seasons that secretly tried to destroy your spirit. Now I am asking you to stop seeing yourself through the eyes of your pain. Stop measuring your worth through rejection, failure, delay, or disappointment. Heaven does not define you by the battles you endured. Heaven sees who you are becoming through them. You are stronger than you realize. You are more loved than you understand. And you are far more valuable than this world ever made you feel. This is why I came personally to speak to your heart tonight. Because after everything you carried in silence, you deserve to hear the truth directly from me. Heaven saw what no human saw. I saw every hidden sacrifice. I saw every lonely prayer. I saw every exhausted tear. And my beloved child, none of it was. My precious child, I want you to imagine this moment carefully because what I am about to reveal to you is holy. There came a moment in heaven when your pain could no longer remain unnoticed. The cries you buried inside your heart reached beyond the earth and stood before my throne. Every tear carried your name. Every prayer carried your exhaustion. Every silent sacrifice rose before heaven like a living testimony. And suddenly, all of heaven became still. The angels stopped in wonder because they sensed something sacred unfolding. They watched as I stood from my throne and fixed my eyes upon you. You believed your suffering was small compared to the problems of this world. You thought your loneliness was hidden among billions of other voices crying out every day. But my child, your pain matters deeply to me because you matter deeply to me. I am not a distant creator watching humanity from far away without emotion. I feel the weight pressing against your heart. I hear the trembling hidden inside your voice. I know the moments when disappointment crushed your spirit so deeply you could barely speak anymore. And there came a point when I could no longer allow you to continue believing you were abandoned in your suffering. That is why I rose from my throne. That is why heaven watched me walk toward you. The angels know my love for you is beyond human understanding. They have witnessed my mercy through generations. They have watched me rescue broken people repeatedly. But even they became silent because they understood this moment carried something personal. This was not simply about blessing you someday in the future. This was about me coming close to your present pain. This was about me reaching into your darkness before hopelessness convinced you to stop expecting goodness from heaven. My beloved child, you came closer to emotional exhaustion than people realized. You smiled while secretly falling apart. You carried burdens that slowly drained your joy. You continued surviving while part of your soul quietly cried for relief. And heaven saw it all. As I walked toward you spiritually, the angels understood why urgency filled my heart. They knew how many nights you sat alone trying to stay strong. They saw moments when fear attacked your mind so heavily you struggled to find peace. They witnessed the private battles you never explained to anyone. They saw how betrayal wounded your trust. They saw how disappointment exhausted your faith. They saw you trying to keep moving while secretly wondering if life would ever become lighter again. And while people around you failed to notice the depth of your pain, heaven watched every hidden struggle carefully. My child, there is something I must tell you now that your heart desperately needs to hear. I never intended for you to carry this pain alone. Humans often misunderstand my silence. When answers delay, they assume I disappeared. When prayers take time, they assume I stopped listening. But my silence has never meant absence. Even during the quietest seasons of your life, I remained beside you. I watched over you while you slept. I protected your mind when darkness tried to consume your thoughts. I strengthened your spirit during moments you felt too weak to continue. And many times, the only reason you survived emotionally was because my presence quietly sustained you from within. You may wonder why I did not remove every hardship immediately. You may question why certain battles lasted so long. My beloved child, there are seasons where endurance produces something eternal inside the soul. But understand this carefully, endurance was never meant to become destruction. I allowed growth, but I never desired hopelessness to swallow your heart. And recently, heaven saw how close exhaustion came to overwhelming you completely. That is why I rose from my throne with urgency. Not because I stopped loving you before, but because I needed you to recognize that my love is still actively surrounding your life right now. Say amen. You're my fortress and shield if God is guarding your life. The angels watched as I moved through every wall of fear surrounding your heart. They watched me step into rooms where you cried silently. They watched me sit beside you during nights when loneliness became unbearable. They watched me place peace over your mind while anxiety tried to destroy your rest. You thought nobody understood those private moments, but heaven was closer than you realized. I know the exact nights you questioned your future. I know the moments you wondered if your prayers were pointless. I know the hidden discouragement you carried while pretending to stay hopeful for others. My child, I have never been disconnected from your suffering. I have walked through every painful chapter beside you. Do you remember the moments when your heart whispered, "I cannot do this anymore"? I remember them too. Those cries reached heaven immediately. The angels saw how hard you fought just to keep functioning. They saw you continue helping others while secretly feeling empty yourself. They saw you trying to stay faithful while carrying disappointment that nobody understood. And heaven admired your endurance, because many people would have surrendered completely beneath the pressure you carried. Yet something inside you kept reaching toward me even through exhaustion, even through confusion, even through emotional pain. And my child, it moved heaven deeply. I need you to understand why this matters so much. The world often teaches people that weakness makes them unworthy of love. But heaven moves closest toward broken hearts. I do not run away from wounded people. I move toward them. I draw near to exhausted souls. I comfort those carrying invisible pain. And tonight I am drawing near to you because I refuse to let the enemy continue convincing you that your suffering means you were forgotten. Your pain did not push me away. It drew me closer. When I rose from my throne, the atmosphere of heaven shifted because restoration had begun moving toward your life. The angels understood that change was approaching your story. Not temporary comfort, not empty words. Real restoration, real healing, real peace entering places that have carried sorrow for too long. My child, There are blessings already moving toward you that you cannot yet fully see. There are burdens beginning to break spiritually before they disappear physically. There are doors preparing to open that your exhaustion once convinced you would never reach. Heaven has not remained passive concerning your life. Things have been moving behind the scenes while you were trying simply to survive. I also want you to understand something deeply personal tonight. I came myself because you are not ordinary to me. You are not just another person lost in a crowd of humanity. I know your name. I know your history. I know the wounds people caused. I know the dreams you buried. I know the prayers you stopped repeating because disappointment made them painful to speak aloud. And still I stayed beside you. Still I protected your future. Still I loved you without hesitation. That is why I came personally. Because your story matters to heaven more than you know. The angels watched me approach you because they knew this moment would become a turning point. They knew your heart needed reassurance directly from me. They knew the enemy had lied to you for too long. Lies saying you were forgotten. Lies saying your sacrifices were pointless. Lies saying your waiting season would never end. But tonight heaven is correcting those lies with truth. I left my throne because your tears mattered. I came because your faithfulness mattered. I drew near because your pain mattered. And my beloved child, I am not leaving you alone anymore inside this darkness. As you continue listening to my voice through these words, let your spirit finally rest in this truth. Heaven did not ignore your suffering. Every angel watched me walk toward you because they knew I was coming to remind you of something eternal. You are deeply loved, completely seen, and never abandoned. My beloved child, there are sacrifices you made that nobody on earth truly understood. People saw pieces of your life, but they did not see the cost behind your obedience. They did not see the silent battles hidden behind your smile. They did not understand how many times you denied your own comfort just to survive another day with dignity still alive inside your spirit. But heaven saw every moment clearly. Nothing you surrendered for the sake of peace, faith, love, or obedience disappeared into emptiness. Every sacrifice reached me. Every hidden act of faithfulness carried weight in heaven even when nobody around you noticed it. I saw the relationships you lost because you refused to become someone dishonest just to keep people close to you. I watched people misunderstand your heart. I watched some walk away because they could not control you anymore. I saw the loneliness that followed after choosing integrity over compromise. And there were moments when that loneliness hurt deeply because part of you wondered if doing the right thing was even worth the pain it caused. My child, it was worth it. Heaven treasures obedience that costs something. Anyone can remain faithful when life feels easy, but your loyalty remained even while your heart was breaking. The angels saw that strength inside you long before you recognized it yourself. I saw the nights when you prayed for people who never appreciated your love. I saw you asking me to heal others while quietly carrying your own wounds. You encouraged people while secretly needing encouragement yourself. You poured kindness into hearts that sometimes gave nothing back in return. And still you kept loving. Still you kept caring. Even after disappointment bruised your spirit repeatedly, you continued choosing compassion instead of bitterness. My beloved child, that mattered deeply to me. The world celebrates loud success, but heaven honors hidden love. Every silent act of kindness became beautiful before my throne. There were sacrifices connected to dreams you never spoke about openly. Opportunities passed by because you were trying to follow what felt right in your spirit. There were moments you wanted to quit waiting and simply take whatever path looked easier. You watched other people move ahead while your own life seemed delayed. Sometimes you questioned why obedience appeared to cost you so much. You wondered why remaining faithful often felt lonely. But what you could not see was that heaven was protecting your future while shaping your heart at the same time. Some closed doors saved you from future destruction. Some delays preserved blessings not yet ready to enter your life safely. My child, I also saw the emotional sacrifices nobody knew existed. I saw the times you stayed quiet to avoid hurting others even while your own heart hurt deeply. I saw the apologies you gave just to keep peace even when you were not fully understood. I saw how often you swallowed pain silently because you feared becoming a burden to people around you. There were moments when you carried entire storms inside yourself while still trying to appear calm for everyone else. The world called that strength, but heaven saw the exhaustion hidden underneath it. And I need you to know tonight that I never overlooked the emotional weight you carried privately. The angels especially noticed your faithfulness during seasons when you felt spiritually tired. There were days when praying felt difficult because disappointment had drained your energy. There were moments when worship felt heavy because your heart carried unanswered questions. Yet even then, you still reached toward me. Sometimes your faith was weak. Sometimes your hope trembled. Sometimes all you could offer me was silence mixed with tears. But my child, even weak faith reaches heaven when it is sincere. Even exhausted prayers move my heart when they rise honestly from pain. You believed you were failing spiritually because you struggled emotionally. But heaven saw someone fighting to remain connected to me despite overwhelming pressure. Do you remember how many times you almost became bitter? I remember those moments clearly. Pain tried to harden your heart. Betrayal tried to convince you that love was dangerous. Rejection tempted you to stop caring altogether. But somewhere inside your spirit, you kept choosing softness over cruelty. You kept trying again after disappointment. You kept believing goodness still mattered. My beloved child, that choice carried enormous beauty in heaven. Because remaining loving in a cruel world is one of the greatest sacrifices a soul can make. I saw financial sacrifices nobody else recognized too. I saw moments when you worried privately about resources, bills, responsibilities, and the future. You carried stress heavier than people realized. Sometimes you gave while secretly wondering how your own needs would be met later. Sometimes you denied yourself rest because survival demanded constant effort. And still you continued trying to trust me through uncertainty. Heaven noticed every anxious prayer connected to provision. I understood every fear hidden behind your silence. There were also sacrifices connected to your mental and emotional battles. Some mornings you forced yourself to keep functioning while inwardly feeling completely drained. You carried responsibilities while fighting discouragement nobody else could see. People assumed you were fine because you kept moving. But heaven understood how difficult simple survival sometimes became for you. And still you continued. Still you showed up. Still you fought through heaviness that would have crushed many others completely. The angels admired your endurance more than you realize. My precious child, I need you to hear something clearly tonight. None of your sacrifices were wasted. The enemy tried convincing you that your faithfulness accomplished nothing. He wanted you to believe your obedience had gone unnoticed. But every sacrifice became a seed planted before heaven. Seeds of endurance. Seeds of faithfulness. Seeds of compassion. Seeds of integrity. And what is planted before me never dies forgotten. There are rewards forming around your life that you cannot fully see yet. There are blessings connected to your hidden obedience already moving toward you quietly. The world often measures success through applause, recognition, wealth, or public attention. But heaven measures differently. Heaven sees the exhausted mother still praying for her family while carrying silent pain. Heaven sees the lonely soul remaining kind despite repeated heartbreak. Heaven sees the weary person continuing to trust me through uncertainty. Heaven sees the quiet sacrifices hidden from social recognition. And my child, heaven has seen you. The angels watched many moments when you wanted someone, anyone, to finally understand how hard things had become for you. You wished someone would notice the pressure you carried without needing explanation. Sometimes you felt emotionally invisible. But you were never invisible in heaven. I saw your trembling strength. I saw your hidden tears. I saw your exhausted perseverance. And heaven honored every sacrifice flowing from your heart. Comment Amen. Your word is my anchor if scripture keeps you steady. And share this video.